Today we're throwing away the 10 worst video game weapons.
Bringing you new Assassin's Creed and the latest from Nintendo.
And celebrating a video game icon.
This is the IGN Show.
Hello and welcome to the IGN Show. I'm James Duggan, and joining me is Alana doesn't follow me back on Twitter, Pierce.
Well, if you stop posting gym selfies all the time.
Want it if you got it.
You say so. Coming up on today's show, we've got an exclusive preview of Assassin's Creed Origins that shows why eagles are actually super helpful. Plus, the developers of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds let us peek at their database to bring you some incredible statistics. You won't believe how many thousands of years of playtime have already been accumulated.
It's an insane amount of time. Then we'll pay homage to one of video games' most iconic characters, Lara Croft. And later, we'll review the latest from Nintendo, Hey Pikmin. The gameplay goes 2D for the first time, and we'll tell you if that's a good thing.
So the Assassin's Creed series is one of the biggest in gaming history, with over 100 million copies sold. I really love Assassin's Creed 2. It's one of my favorite games ever made. But the latest chapter focuses on an Egyptian hero named Bayek and his trusty eagle.
That's why we went to Montreal to talk to the Assassin's Creed developers about the dynamic duo in this IGN First.
When you create a massive open world game like Assassin's Creed Origins, obviously the main character is the lens through which players experience the world. So it was very important to us to have a main character who would fulfill a function that would be similar to what the player's gameplay experience would be.
We wanted him to be Egyptian in the first place because we really wanted him to serve as a guide for players to fully understand Egypt, what Egypt was about. His path, his journey will lead to the foundation of the Assassin's Brotherhood, as we know it since Assassin's Creed 1.
So as we designed Bayek, we were very inspired by the Mongolian hunters, using the golden eagle to hunt and to scout ahead of them. So in Assassin's Creed Origins, we mock-upped a lot of characters, but also animals like camels. But in the case of the eagle, one single person animated everything by hand. We all handcrafted the eagle. Every single feather is animated by hand.
So Senu, the pet eagle of Bayek, she's his friend, and it's a really important element of the game. First, it gives Bayek a companion. It gives the players a presence. They're not alone in this vast world. Second, from a gameplay perspective, it really allows us to give players a totally new and different perspective on the world. With this eagle, with Senu, you're now able to understand it better at a bigger range. For example, fast traveling, just by using Senu, flying, looking at the locations that you've already discovered, you can fast travel directly, without exiting the 3D world, which for us was really important to improve, once again, the fluidity of the global experience. We're really happy about the result, and I really hope players will like it too.
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is one of the most popular online shooters out there, and these 100-player free-for-alls are long and intense. I managed to find my way to victory, so here's the epic match cut down to 2 minutes and edited for a TV-friendly audience because, of course, my mom is watching. Hi, Mom. I hope you like unicorns.
Hey everybody, James Duggan with IGN, and here's 11 kills and 1 win in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, cut down into 2 minutes. Time starts now. I land here, just outside of the firing range. A man punches me in the back of the head. I'm not incredibly appreciative. I loot an AR suppressor, a SCAR, and a car, in addition to a helmet, and make my way south to a crash plane that is filled with glitchy geometry and empty promises. Another player drives up. I jump on the wing, landing 2 headshots before the player is able to escape. I then loot a 4x and 8x scope, which goes particularly well with my acquired weapons. I see a buggy driving towards a mushroom house, and we exchange fire. An enemy player sneaks up behind, but is unable to execute and pays the ultimate price. Mushroom Man decides it's time to leave. I loot the enemy, but open Steam instead. I'm here, I need to be here, so I decide to take a vehicle. There are no mishaps along the way. I see a player sprinting across an open field. The final 2 shots connect. There's a man with a shotgun and an open microphone underneath a tree. There's a woman with a cool face mask also underneath the tree. There's an oblivious prone player again. underneath the tree. Now that all the tree folk have been slain, it's time to take 2 shots against a player running across the field. This time, the first ones connect. My suppressor has made me invincible, invulnerable, and completely invisible. Nobody can detect me. Oh god, in a risky play I decide to take advantage of my excellent abs. Leaning around the tree to land a couple of shots in center mass, the enemy player is deterred. I decided best to sneakily change positions, but we both have the same idea. And as anybody who's played the game knows, the golden rule, never lean left, the result of which leads us to an awkward game of ring around the rosy. I emerge the victor. The shrinking play zone forces me across an open field. I see another player under a tree. Unfortunately, I'm on fully automatic fire, I'm able to correct the mistake and secure the kill anyway. At this point, everything is very quiet. Until a volley of gunfire erupts, it's me and him. I decide to get the drop on the shooter, but he is the one who gets the drop on me. Ironically, it's a tree that saves my life. I heal up using a medkit with knowledge that the shooter is just on the other side. I peek out and he throws what appears to be a frag grenade, but thankfully, it's just a smoke grenade. All I need to do now is arbitrarily and aimlessly shoot into the grass to secure the victory.
Good game, James. Coming up, we'll count down the worst weapons in games and then learn why cute friends are weapons when we review Hey Pikmin for the Nintendo 3DS.
Plus, we'll have an in-depth look at the video game icon that broke the mold, Tomb Raider's Lara Croft. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the IGN Show. Sometimes a really great game can have some really bad weapons.
And other times those bad weapons can be so hilariously ineffective, it's actually kind of a fun challenge to try and use them.
Here are the top 10 worst weapons in video game history.
These are the 10 worst weapons in gaming history. The Giant's Knife from Ocarina of Time is frankly an easy target. Sold as the Hyrule equivalent of an early access Kickstarter project, the sword looks impressive, but shatters unexpectedly after only 3 or 4 hits. But this crash course in refund policies doesn't stop here, as you can repurchase the blade as many times as your intellect allows. The informed consumers of Hyrule will tell you that an indestructible version of this weapon is sold by Big Goron atop Death Mountain. Unfortunately, he only accepts eye drops as payment on account of all the smoke. Wait a minute, what were you doing up here? If you ever pick up the Wookiee bowcaster in Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, do yourself a favor and toss it in a trash compactor on the detention level where it belongs.
I don't care what you smell!
The bowcaster's alternate fire relentlessly pelts the target with harmless green light, so hitting an enemy with every bolt doesn't kill them, but what about hitting an enemy with no bolts? Thanks to the bowcaster's drastic horizontal spread, your accuracy is guaranteed to plummet regardless of your skill. Borderlands procedurally generated guns number in the millions, so why TK's Wave in particular was given to players upon the completion of an early quest is anyone's guess. The gun certainly gets points for creativity with its unique wave pattern shot spread. Unfortunately, it loses those points and a few hundred more for its poor accuracy, projectile speed, range, damage, reliability, aesthetics, rate of fire, and everything else that constitutes a desirable firearm. Besides, it's unethical to accept a blind old man's only means of self-defense as payment, which is why returning the weapon to TK Baja is the only logical choice. The Rivet Gun. It's exactly what it sounds like. It shoots nails. And the weird part is that the game already has a glorified nail launcher called the Javelin Gun, which, unlike the Rivet Gun, can actually kill things. It takes a whole clip and then some to accomplish what the Javelin Gun can do in 2 shots. What's even stranger is that this inferior replica of another weapon in the same game was actually a pre-order bonus. Why not just throw sand in your customer's eyes? It would probably be less painful than using the Rivet Gun. Castlevania's dagger is such a terrible weapon it practically counts as an enemy. Every other sub-weapon is supremely useful. The axe clobbers flying foes, the boomerang deals massive damage at range, the stopwatch freezes those annoying Medusa heads, and the holy water is a boss killer extraordinaire. But the dagger's only use in life is to drop right on top of you at the worst possible moment, replacing one of your awesome special weapons with a pointless lawn dart.
And stay tuned for the top 5 a little later in the show. The Pikmin series is a favorite of Shigeru Miyamoto, the man behind Mario, so you know there's something there worth checking out. Hey Pikmin is the first handheld title to feature Olimar and his sometimes disposable companions. And here's our review.
Hey
Pikmin is a spin-off of the fan-favorite Pikmin series that takes the army-gathering, tossing, and goodie-collecting gameplay and brings it into a new perspective, a 2D puzzle platformer. While it does a good job of transplanting the inherent charm of Pikmin, a lack of challenge and a meandering pace means it doesn't live up to the name. The always adorable Captain Olimar is nearly defenseless. All he has is a weak little jetpack and a whistle. Fortunately, this world is teeming with cute and colourful Pikmin which Olimar can gather, toss, and use for a variety of different purposes, from attacking enemies to conducting electricity. You can chuck them to places you can't reach, which is the key to many of Hey Pikmin's puzzles. You move Olimar with the circle pad or D-pad and use the stylus to aim and throw Pikmin. It feels pretty good once you get the hang of it, but these stages simply aren't fun enough to play more than once. And it's all a bit easy for a typical Pikmin fan. The majority of these stages are a cakewalk, and the bosses have laughably easy to read patterns that make them feel totally toothless. The majority of the challenge comes from finding hidden areas and treasures, but again, it's just not fun to replay these super easy levels more than once. Hey Pikmin has its moments though, and discovering weird interpretations of common household items in this colourful and charming world is always good for at least a smile.
Coming up, the story behind a video game icon. We'll raid some tombs with the most famous treasure hunter next to Indiana Jones,
Lara Croft. Plus, we'll crunch the numbers and tell you how much time people are really spending online in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. How many chicken dinners have been awarded? Find out right after this.
Welcome back to the IGN Show. There are a handful of video game characters that transcend the medium and are recognizable in the world at large.
Translation, your parents know who they are. Lara Croft is one of those people, and she's a straight-up icon.
There's no other choice. I've got to do this.
Created by Toby Gard in the early 90s, Lara Croft's multi-platform media dominance began in 1996 with Tomb Raider. Most female video game characters were still consigned to be princesses in need of rescue, yet Croft was strong, powerful, and intelligent. Regardless of the numerous retcons over the course of the Tomb Raider series, a few things about Lara have remained constant. She's well educated, solving ancient riddles just as often as she fights off foes. She's a world traveler. Lara has visited over 30 locations across all 7 continents, including treks across the Himalayas, Atlantis, and Area 51. She's stolen helicopters, survived shipwrecks, been involved in numerous motorcycle chases, and has managed to kill hundreds of henchmen, plus a handful of dinosaurs. It was these attributes that helped propel Lara and the Tomb Raider franchise into the upper echelons of gaming. Tomb Raider is one of the most successful video game franchises in history. To date, Tomb Raider games have sold over 50 million copies worldwide, and although Lara Croft was originally associated with PlayStation, she's appeared in almost 20 games across 22 different platforms. But it's not just sales that have made Lara Croft a household name. Shortly after her debut, she began making cameos in comics, which led to a long-running series. Comics quickly gave way to films, starting with Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Croft would return in a second film adaptation, an animated miniseries, several novels, myriad action figures and statues, and several games throughout the last 2 decades. She made her way to the cover of dozens of magazines. She was on stage with U2 during their iconic Pop Mart tour. She sold products and campaigns for Lucozade and Visa. She became a household name almost overnight and has maintained mainstream popularity for almost 20 years, and is still iconic to this very day. Regardless of whether or not we knew it at the time, Lara Croft has become a legend and is truly one of gaming's greatest icons.
Anyone who's played PUBG knows that the game does an excellent job of keeping track of your stats. Your kill-death ratio, average lifespan, and win percentage are all displayed prominently in-game. But developer Bluehole has gone even further and given us access to their massive database of behind-the-scenes statistics. Here is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds by the numbers.
just a minute, we'll reveal the 5 worst video game weapons of all time.
They're so bad they've actually gone past bad and turned good for just a second and then gone back to being bad.
Wow, that's really bad.
Yeah, it'll all make sense. You'll see.
Welcome back to the IGN Show. We've already showed you some weapons that are real bad in video games, but these next 5 weapons are so bad, we had to ask ourselves why they were even implemented in the first place. These are the top 5 worst video game weapons of all time.
Dark Souls fans pride themselves on being able to complete the game in a single sitting armed only with short shorts and a bit of lint. But even the Dark Souls Elite won't go near the Ivory Straight Sword in Dark Souls 2. It looks like a lightsaber, so it's got that going for it, but its lackluster damage, slow swing speed, and most notably lack of scaling with the attribute required to wield the blade are completely unforgivable. GoldenEye's Klob is the frustration and anguish felt by every inaccurate Bond henchman made manifest. Everything about this gun sucks, from its revolting appearance to its screeching and blood-curdling reload noise. Team Fortress 2's Sun on a Stick is so useless it's actually confusing. The Luminous Club guarantees critical hits against burning targets at the cost of 25% less damage overall. Keep in mind that the only class capable of using Sun on its Stick has absolutely no way of igniting enemies. So in order to benefit from its effect, the scout would have to find a target to finish off the frail foe, close the distance, pull out his Sun on a Stick, and land a hit before the enemy dies on his own, kills the scout, or becomes extinguished. No thanks. Up until this point, the weapons on this list have been an easily discarded or overlooked irritation, but not this one. If you accidentally pick up the torch in Ghosts and Goblins, you may as well reset the game because your playthrough is over. Failing to jump over its sizable hitbox overwrites your currently equipped weapon, and once you have the torch, it stays with you, through every death, through every continue, forever hampering your progress. The torch's terrible trajectory seems destined to arc just over every enemy's head, and its abysmal range and rate of fire all spell disaster. 1 bullet capacity? Check. Can't be reloaded? Check. Limited to carrying 1 at a time? You bet. If you're looking for all the drawbacks with none of the benefits, look no further than Deus Ex's PS20. The pinnacle of concealed single-use annoyances, the PS20 allows the user to deliver 1 almost harmful plasma blast to their target while injuring themselves in the process.
Somebody kill me!
Using this weapon precipitates unparalleled confusion followed by a flurry of questions. Wait, was that it? Did I use it correctly? Was I supposed to save this for something? But the PS20's uses are clarified with a quick visit to Deus Ex's official wiki.
Alright, well that was the list, but what's one of your least favorite weapons of all time, Alana?
I find this really hard to answer. First things first, I want to defend the Needler. I like it.
Oh,
but
whatever.
I think it's got to be the ink ability in Mario Kart, where you just kind of put ink on everyone's screens, but it's only just kind of a minor hindrance. Like, I don't think that has ever knocked me off the track or had any major effect on me whatsoever.
I think you can press a button to jump around it too on the earlier games. I think if it's about to hit you, you can press something and it only gets half your screen.
The fact that I've been playing Mario Kart for 20 years and I'm still not fully clear on how it works is also like kind of an issue.
It's changing. For me, I gotta say the Smash Bros. Fan sucks. It's not gonna do you any good. It's just gonna get you close to Sheik and she's gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
Sure. No, that's a good point. I mean, you just saw 10 of mine, the PS20 in particular. I feel like that's gotta be an inside joke that a developer was like, I'll put this in there just to confuse folks.
Just see what happens.
But anyway, next week on the IGN Show, we'll exclusively reveal more of the WWE superstars that'll be appearing in WWE 2K18.
Plus, we'll continue our in-depth coverage of Assassin's Creed Origins with exclusive gameplay you won't see anywhere else.
And we'll have reviews of all the latest titles, the best cosplay previews, and whatever else is happening in the world of games.
That does it for us here. See you next week.
Remember this mantra, keep it locked to IGN.
Thanks for watching.